Hey, this is Thad Joyner, and you're listening to What Thad Thinks, the one and only podcast on the interweb focused solely on what I think. Proud that you're listening today. We are powered by Better Beans Branding, your one-stop shop for commercial and residential design, graphics, branding, construction, and remodel. Yes, capable of everything. Thank you for listening.
Hello, and welcome to What Thad Thinks Camper Edition. Yes, What Thad Thinks, powered by Better Beans Branding. We are live-ish. I'm live. How about that? At my hunting property, in my camper, coming to you with What Thad Thinks. And this morning, I don't know what I think. I'm on coffee cup number 3. And trying to, we've done primetime edition the last couple of weeks. Today we're doing very, very, very early in the morning edition. But anyways, excited to be here. I want to shout out. We said it's powered by Better Beans. And I want to give a shout out to Buttons and Bows, who signed on for a big rebrand with Better Beans this week. And super pumped about what we're getting ready to get started down there. So I'm giving them a shout out. If you want your company shouted out, make sure to sign a big deal with us, because we're all about the money here. I'm kidding. But I also wanted to give a shout out to a couple other people. I thought about this yesterday. I'm on webinars. Yesterday I was on Vernon Mason's webinar, kind of talking about dealing with COVID cases in your center and dealing with a possible resurgence. And I saw just some other business owners, and What Thad Thinks is this podcast, other than if you enjoy me picking on Neel, the other thing it's for is just to kind of help power small businesses, to give you a few nuggets of information while you're driving in your car or doing your work that help small business owners grow. There's a couple small business owners that I'm friends with that they grind. I mean, they work their tails off and grind everything. I mean, if they're eating lunch, they're on a webinar. If they're at home, they're reading a book. They're watching a series. They're calling, asking for questions. So there's a couple. South Georgia's own Michelle Lank Smith. I mean, she was on another webinar yesterday, and I know she listens to every one of these podcasts. She's freaking amazing. She grinds it. I mean, she gets everything out of her business. Same thing with Alita Mechtel out of Minnesota. Don't tell her I complimented her. I doubt she listens to this. So please don't tell her I complimented her. But man, she grinds and works her tail off. So there's others as well. But I wanted to really kind of point those two out that I really think through this whole COVID situation, and really even when it's not, they just grind everything out of their business. And I'm so proud of them and proud to be friends of theirs. So make sure you kind of let me know if Neel's like sending me a text trying to correct me that it's Michelle Smith Lank. I get it. Like, she has a hyphenated last name. I'm not going to get it right every time. She's still my friend. I call her Michelle. I don't call her Lank Smith or Smith Lank. Neel, please don't text me in the middle of my thing because you're listening. Just wait your turn. Wait your turn to correct. I think this is number 7 or 8. And I guess since he texted me and jumped in, we can get everybody's least favorite person on the podcast, Neel Sengupta. He can join us at the camper edition. Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, I can talk and read your text at the same time. I mean, do you like feel the need? Like, oh my God, I finally got Thad with a mistake. I can correct him right now, live on air. I mean, what was the purpose of that?
Just making sure you knew.
Look,
You've got to be able to multitask, man.
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Neel.
Yes. Oh, because that's a new thing?
I'm going to be completely honest with you right here. Mm-hmm. Hyphenated last names bother me. And as much as I love Michelle, I would tell her the same thing.
Okay.
Which one goes first? Which one goes second? Where it is.
Hey, why does she keep her maiden name at all?
Whoa, I don't know about that. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go
there. I had to battle my wife for that for years.
You battled your wife with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My wife was so proud to take on the Joyner name. You know?
She kicked you out to the camper this week, huh?
What a great day. Yeah, this is camper edition. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited by it. It came down kind of getting ready for, during COVID, we ate all, there was like meat shortages and stuff, but not at the Joyner house. I mean, we were packed full of deer meat, fish. I mean, I feel like an episode of Alone. I mean, we had everything we needed to kind of get through, but we are almost empty of everything right now. So I'm down at the, property planting food plots, for the herd of deer, and building deer stands and getting ready for the fall hunting season, where I plan to fill our freezers again, and friends' freezers. And, so that's kind of what we're working on.
When you're at the camper, what do you eat?
What do I eat?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it's not hunting season, so like right now, my favorite camper food is peanut butter jelly.
Are you a creamy?
I'm able to buy bread that my wife won't let me eat at home. So I get the good old white sugary loaf bread, like white, soft, just perfect bread. And, good old jar of Jif peanut butter grape jelly, man. And I can eat 100 peanut butter and jellies a day.
That's healthy.
Well, I mean, isn't peanut butter and jelly healthy? I mean, peanut butter's got a lot of protein. I get the all natural, a lot of protein. So I do get that. But the white bread's no good for me, but that'll certainly gum your system up. But man, does it taste good. I don't even know if I'd eat a peanut butter and jelly on anything else. So what happened to you this week? No guest. I mean, you weren't able to secure a guest?
I was not. It's kind of dog days of summer out there in the guest world. So if you want to be a guest,
there has got to be 100 people that want to be a guest on this show.
Oh, okay, great. I expect my email full next week.
Email Neel or me if you want to be a guest. I would love to have a couple of like surprise guests that just, want to come on here and discuss a subject.
I'd love
fantastic.
I mean, maybe we need to kind of.
Did you ask somebody and they say no this week, or is it dog days of summer for you and you just didn't think of anybody?
Oh yeah, I did no work on finding somebody.
Okay, so we were very busy.
I did suggest someone to you, but I won't say their name, but you told me that they'd be pretty boring.
Really?
Yeah, or a bad interview.
Wow. Should you text me that right now?
Text me. Now I have your permission to text you?
Yes, text me. Don't say it out loud because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But if it's somebody I don't
we know he doesn't listen to the podcast.
If it's somebody that would bust their chops, I'll go ahead and go ahead and call them out. It's a boy? So if it's a boy, we definitely can make fun of him online. Oh, yeah, he doesn't listen and he'd be boring. Yeah. My brother Jason, God, he'd be terrible.
Oh, you just called him out. So
Yeah. My brother Jason, former owner of some Planet Fitness franchises, an optometrist and doctor and developer and everything else. So he has great knowledge. But he'd be a very boring interview. It'd be like 1 or 2 word answers the whole time. Anybody in my family could tell you that. So he'd come on and he'd give like 1 or 2 word answers and that would be it. So definitely not him. So you didn't come up with any good ideas and you didn't call anybody.
I did not.
There's a lot of great people. I mean, I know there's some people I've been like holding out for the special moment to ask them to come on, some of our good friends. But so I may just have to reach out and go ahead and get some of them on here. But yeah. So anything else interesting going on in your world? Congrats on closing a deal finally this week. I mean, I know during COVID you had to
decided to work, and real proud of the Buttons and Bows team for making this leap. They're going into a season where through their acquisition,
you're starting to bore me.
A brand opportunity, and we won't talk about what that is.
Why don't you just enjoy to say congratulations, and just move on? Like all the extra explanations it's just kind of boring. It's not really why people tune in to hear
me. Ramblings.
Let's just ramble. Just come up with something interesting. That was enough.
Piece of work.
Well, you're just trying to sound smarter than. I mean, let me say this. You're a very smart guy, but when you ramble, folks like me just don't listen because you're smarter than us, and that's fine. Yes, I said you're smarter than
What?
me. I think you're smarter than me.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a.
I mean,
I
you
don't
don't have
get that
near as
very
much
often.
common sense or business sense than me, but you're definitely a smart man.
I wonder. Well, thank you. Hey, look.
You're wordy. You definitely are wordy.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
But anyway, so let me, who are we looking? I mean, let's just get them out there on there. I mean, who's like being tentative and scared to pull the trigger for with a big branding process with Better Beans right now?
But you were asking me to call out somebody?
Yeah. Or if you don't, I will.
Yeah, that isn't going to happen. I'm not telling you, and I'm not going to call them out because it could be today is my expectation on one of them. So
who is it today? Like Sandy?
Yeah.
Kids are kids? I mean, what's she
Yes.
waiting on? She's scared. You scared, Sandy? Scared? No. I'm asking Sandy right now because I think she may listen every now and then. And if she doesn't, Michelle will make her. Don't be scared.
So Katie Lee, when you post this, make sure you at least wait till the latter part of the day.
Don't wait at all. Don't wait at all, Katie Lee. Don't wait at all. Post this thing, and I want Sandy called out. I want to laugh, and I want to celebrate, and I want to shout her out next week.
Yep, you will.
And tell her. She's got 2 buildings she's doing, right? So that's a big rebranding process. So anyway, I gave Better Beans a little extra time today. So we decided purposely no guest today because we had something that Neel and I wanted to discuss. So, what's on our mind, Neel?
And the world is a funny place, or really an important place right now. There's a lot going on in branding. And if you look out at kind of the landscape of whether it's sports teams or commercial products, everybody is taking a look at what they're named, right? You've got the Washington Redskins that have finally made a decision to change the name. You've got plenty of food service products that are looking at their history and changing names or looking at their names. So this is part of corporate identities and in what's going on in America right now. We've got to really take a look at, how are names and brands derived, and what do you get for that work?
Yeah. So that was a lot of talking, but yeah. So basically we have, why do you talk so much, Neel?
I think you've gone over that point.
You made an exciting subject boring. Like, I don't know how you do that. Like, do you go to the amusement park? Like, will you go to Disney with your children?
I don't go to amusement parks, first of all, because I don't go to rides.
First of all, you do go to Disney World. So you don't go on rides. So you make amusement parks boring. There's no way your oldest daughter, I guarantee you she's going to ride stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
absolutely.
to the wall. Yeah. You have to like put her on there with a stranger?
No.
Or does Amy go for you? Does Amy ride the rides for you?
We kind of rock, paper, scissors who goes.
That's so funny.
Magic Kingdom has pretty easy rides. Okay.
So, so talking about some companies that are all changing their names or products like you brought up changing names, like Aunt Jemima Syrup and Washington Redskins. And I know George Washington University is thinking about changing the name of the university from George Washington, but definitely thinking about changing the name of their mascot, which is the Colonials. And all these things are becoming, whether politically or socially, whether you think this is the correct or incorrect thing to do, that's not what we're really going to talk about today. Because, generally speaking, we're going to be 50-50 on that or whatever. Like you said, finally the Redskins are changing their name. So like to you, that was something they should have done a long time ago. I'm getting that from you, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to make you say that. Yeah. Right. So that, which is nothing wrong with that. And then to me, I'd be like, oh God, why did we have to change that name? Now, economically speaking, and what our company does for a living, what Better Beans does for a living, which is brand things and help rebrand things, then obviously this is a great thing because this just means more business out there, business that we could possibly get. And certainly Better Beans believes that we would be excellent sports marketing, branding. We'd be great for all of that. So hopefully this is something that, just brings us more business. But so let's talk about that. So I'm going to give you a few questions kind of that you can think about, whether it's for your company, a product, a service, or a sports team or school. I mean, I know across the South, there's going to be a lot of schools get renamed. I mean, every corner's got a Robert E. Lee Middle School or a Jefferson Davis High School or, a Stonewall Jackson Street. I mean, all these things are going to have to be changed in this political climate. All that stuff's getting changed. And it's a discussion for another day, whether we think that's something that should be done or shouldn't be done. And all that. The bottom line is that in a lot of communities, it's going to be done. And we believe our company and our people would be great choices for you if you're looking to do it, and certainly affordable. I know we looked a few weeks ago when the Gwinnett Braves changed their name to the Gwinnett Stripers a couple of years ago. I mean, they paid like $250,000 to come up with the name Stripers, which it looks like strippers.
I have a real problem reading that word.
It says strippers. It doesn't say stripers. Yeah. And which is a really weird name for a baseball team. Yeah. So anyway, but we think Better Beans would be a great match to help you do it, and certainly probably one of the more affordable options out there. So if you're out there and you're listening in podcast land and you want to change your name of your sports team, we're here. But we have specifically specialized in helping small businesses change their name, launch new names, launch new brands, launch new logos. That's what we do for a living. So the first thing is that I'm gonna ask everybody that's thinking about a rebrand. And that is, do you have a name that matches your brand? So, for instance, I mean, if you've got, there's a lot of, I don't want to call out too many companies here, but there's a lot of names that your company may have been named in 1975. And that name doesn't necessarily match the brand you have today. So I want you to ask yourself, does your name match your brand? If your name of your restaurant is, there's a great one, Ihop, International House of Pancakes. Great name, right? Matches exactly what their brand, which was a 24-hour a day breakfast concept, right? Now they tried last year to come up with that crazy, I don't know, what was it, Ihop or something? Yes. International House of Burgers or something. Yeah. And they were just trying to attract people to come in. They obviously were not going to change their name, but if they wanted to become a burger place, then they would have to change their name. So does your name match your brand? The second one is, how valuable is your brand? And let's just use that IHOP example, right? How valuable is IHOP? Well, it's pretty valuable. I mean, I think their franchise fee right now is like somewhere close to $75,000. That's just for the rights to use their name. So I would say,
what happened? I think we may have froze. Hey, listen, Thad's talking about value in the brand, and he's in the midst of reconnecting. So as he does that, I don't know that I'll take over here, but wait, here he is. There you are.
I don't know what happened there.
I just tried to pull my camera up to take a picture of the frozen. Oh. So you're talking about brand value.
Yeah, so the first one was, how valuable is your brand? And we talked about how valuable IHOP may be. But you need to ask yourself, before you change your brand and change your name, how valuable is your brand? And maybe more importantly, how valuable would your new brand be? So, like, I'm going to argue the Redskins idea here. So the old brand, super valuable, right? So, I mean, the Redskins brand, the Redskins merchandise, the Redskins name, unbelievably valuable, tens to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of value there, right? Would you agree, Neel?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have that, but how valuable will the new brand be? I'm going to argue maybe even just as valuable, maybe more. It's certainly not going to have the name recognition of the Redskins right off the get-go, but it's going to be super valuable, and crap tons of T-shirts and jerseys are going to be sold from the very beginning.
Well, every eyeball in America will be on the announcement.
Yeah, so it's going to be huge. Yeah. And And the old name will still be valuable and you still own the rights to it because people are still going to be buying Redskins gear. You're going to have some curmudgeons, some old curmudgeons go, I'm still a Redskins fan. They're still going to buy that stuff. And the new name's going to be super valuable as well. So a lot of times in business, sometimes you can change your name and your brand just to build some excitement.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
it's going to be expensive to do it, but if you need some excitement, I'm telling you, this is going to be exciting. Now, do I think? Let me be honest with you. I'll give you the flip side of that. So Aunt Jemima syrup, super popular, super valuable, and they're going to change it, right?
Yep.
The new name is not going to be that valuable. I mean, it's not going to be the same, right? It's not going to build the excitement. That's the type of brand it is, right? It's syrup.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody gets excited about syrup in general.
You certainly, most people that are going to buy a name brand syrup, they go to the syrup aisle when they're out or when they know they're going to cook pancakes or something, and they buy Log Cabin or they buy Aunt Jemima or they buy the cheapest brand. I mean,
it's
that's
almost, it's a commodity.
So you were just dying to say that. Like you were waiting for me to halfway comma my sentence.
Were you going there?
But anyway, what I'm saying is that you're going to buy either you're the cheapo that buys the cheapest syrup available, or you're buying Log Cabin or Aunt Jemima. Now they're going to come out with a new brand, and it's either going to be super expensive to drive people to the new brand, it's going to be they're going to call themselves, I don't know what they're going to call themselves, super sweet syrup or something, whatever it may be. They're going to have to advertise the crap out of it to get any kind of value.
Mm-hmm. You think that they'll do something formally known as Aunt Jemima?
No. Can I finish? I mean, you're doing the trying to be funny thing, and you're missing a good point for our listeners that need to hear this. So they're either going to have to spend a lot of money to drive people to Aunt Jemima, or they're going to have to, or they're just going to become one or the other known. So so when we say how valuable is your old brand before you do it, and you think about how valuable is the new brand, I will say that I guess it was Pepsi, right, that owned Aunt Jemima. Mm-hmm. Was that what it was? Yeah. Yep. So they have said the old product is super valuable. The new product is not going to be that valuable, but it's worth it for social change or whatever their decision was. So, make sure you do that and the Redskins was different. The old brand, super valuable. The new brand, going to be even more valuable. This is a great commodity. This is a great time for us to go ahead and do that. So, another thing for people that obviously they have to think about right now is, does it offend? Does it offend people? Does your name offend people? Now, we can argue that there's something offends everybody, right? We can argue that, or we can, but in today's day and age, you need to be asking yourself, is this something that's offensive? But it's got to factor into it. I don't really want, I don't like the sensitive America, but I also don't like hurting people where you don't have to hurt people. So, that's where that is. The other, one thing that I put on here as well is that, does your brand attract people, or is it just there? And let me tell you what I mean by that. So for sports teams, for instance, let's just take my poor Atlanta Falcons, my favorite sports team. So let's just take the Atlanta Falcons, right? Does the Falcon attract people? Man, I want to be a fan of the Falcon. Probably not. No. Right. Nor does the Rams or the Patriots or the Redskins or whoever you're talking about, the Vikings. These aren't things that attract people. I would argue that the brand for the sports team is actually the city that it's in. Right. Okay. So I'm a Minnesota Viking fan because I'm from Minnesota. Or I like the state of Minnesota. And the second part of their brand may be their colors. I like the Savannah Bananas because they're yellow. I like, the Falcons because they're red and black. So I would argue that it's not the mascot, not the brand, but well, and let's say all that's part of the brand, but a lot is the city.
Sure.
It's the city or the state that makes the brand. Or is it just there? So to me, in the Washington Redskins example, not to me, in the Redskins example, it's no big deal to change the brand, right? Because the Redskin is just there. Nobody's going, oh man, I really want to be a fan of this Redskin team. I like Redskins. I mean, nobody's doing that. That has nothing to do with why people are attracted to that franchise. So I think it's easy to change that brand because nobody's attracted to it because of that name. Mm-hmm. Now, if your name was, and this is a bad name, but like, well, no, I'll do it. We'll give a shout out to our friend Rochelle. So Oxford preschools, Oxford. Are people attracted to her preschool because it's called Oxford Preschool? I would say yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, is it just there? Do you have a brand that's just there? Do you have a brand that attracts people? And what's important to you? Because you may want a brand that's just there, like ABC Copiers or something. And that may be good for you because you don't really want people to know you by your brand. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So does it offend or is it just there? Does it attract people? Also, colors, fonts, and price. Like, so, I imagine, I don't know this. I do, but the Redskins probably will try to keep their colors. Because can you imagine like stadium paints and office stuff? Like it'll be a whole lot easier for them to keep their colors.
Yes. Yeah.
They'll save some money. It's going to be expensive. They had to come on a whole new color scheme. And the NFL probably wants them to keep their color scheme because they can't get the same colors as another NFL team. And they have pretty unique colors. So, where you can, if you're rebranding, if you already have strong colors and strong fonts, you want to keep them. But if you need to change them, then there's a lot of stuff we have to consider. Even more stuff for Better Beans to consider when you go to redo your brand. So, where is that at? And how much is it going to cost? It'll be expensive, right? How does it look on uniforms? And for a sports team, how does it look on sports uniforms? Like you've got some real tests to do. You've got some partnerships that need to be formed, which, NFL teams already have these sponsorships. But if you're a high school team, that you're the Jefferson Davis High School Rebels, you're going to need to change your name and you're going to need a new mascot and you're going to need uniform partners, with your branding company that comes up with your new team name and new brand. And they're going to have uniform partners to see how this looks on a uniform. And maybe even more important today, like how does it look on TV and digital? So that's your next part. How does it look on your website? How does it look on TV? How does it look? How's that logo going to stand out? We got to make sure how that's going to mold. Some people pick like 20 color logos and you can't even print a polo shirt without it costing $75. All those things are things that your branding company is going to consider that you don't. And then your buildings and all your signage and all your planning and strategizing, that's going to be something that you need a branding partner to take care of if you're considering changing your name, because you have tons of signage out there. Even if you're a small restaurant, you probably have 70 signs in your building that need to be changed. A 3,000 square foot restaurant, I guarantee has 50 to 70 places that they should have their name, right? So all that's got to be done. Imagine if you're a pro sports team, you probably and you have your headquarters and you have your marketing offices and your stadium offices and your stadium. You probably have 3,000 to 5,000 signs that need to be changed.
Wow. That's a big, yeah.
And you got to think about your billboards and your digital marketing. All that stuff's going to have to be updated. So you need a branding pro company to kind of help you strategize that and how long that timeline is going to take to change out each of those things. So, I guess to give you the things to consider there, I will tell you that Better Beans has a system that we use to rebrand and rename things. And one of the biggest things that Neel wanted to talk about today, all the steps that we have to go through this. And we do have a process and a set of steps, and it's nice and organized. And I think that's kind of proprietary, and I don't really want to give that away on a podcast. Neel doesn't care about giving away money, but I care about giving away money and ideas. But anyways, one of the best things we do is all the market research, all the studying that has to go into it to kind of come up with the best name ever. And we've done that for quite a few customers, and maybe we can do that for you. Hopefully this doesn't sound like a complete advertisement today, but the last 4 or 5 weeks, I'm not barely even talking about Better Beans, who's our chief sponsor, right? So, yeah. What else do you think? Anything to add, Neel?
No, this is all really good. I really love it. Clearly, the market's there, and not just it's important. It's an important time for a lot of companies to really take a reflection on what they stand for in their name.
Yep. Well, Neel, I want to thank you for joining me, and thank you for not getting a guest this week and kind of slacking on your job. And I'm going to say goodbye to you, and because it's time for What Thad Thinks.
Well, good.
Bye, Neel. See you, buddy. So, hey, for those of you that are new listening, do understand that Neel is, Neel's opinion is not all that important on this call, but just do remember that he is a really good guy. All right, so time for What Thad Thinks, and we have, this will be the second week in a row that we're going to get away from hurricane style, because I just want 2 styles. But today is What Thad Thinks on going back to school. All right, state of Georgia came out yesterday, or not state of Georgia, but a couple of counties, large counties, Cobb County and Fulton County, I guess 2 of the 3 largest school systems in the state of Georgia, came out and said that they're going to go virtual only until January. I can't tell you how upset I am about this decision. And my children do not go to school in those districts, so it doesn't affect me necessarily as much. But, again, this is not political. I'm going to preface this. This is purely What Thad Thinks. So if you're offended and upset, I apologize. I still love you. Feel free to email Neel and tell him how mad you are at me. But the kids need to go back to school. The children of this country need to be in school, socially, intellectually, physically, everything, back in school. I don't think people are paying attention. The politicians are not paying attention to the math or to the science if they're keeping their kids home. They're talking about spikes in COVID across the country. Well, no kidding. I mean, Fulton County, Georgia, is advertising free testing across every social medium that I've seen, on billboards, on interstates in Atlanta. They want you to come test, and then you test positive, and then they say it's spiking. This is silliness. Of course there's that many. Can you imagine if we tested for strep and we just said, hey, free strep tests in the middle of December? We'd have thousands upon thousands of people testing positive that never knew they had strep and just stayed at home in the bed with a sore throat one day. This is silliness. I need kids back in school. The kids need to get back in school. I don't think they even understand the unintended consequences of this. If you want to take some of these, how many high school kids across the country only stay in school so they can play sports? We've got fall sports being canceled across the country. Washington, D.C. just canceled all fall sports, football. How many kids in Washington, D.C. only study algebra so they can be eligible to play football? Thousands. This is going to have unbelievable effects on these children. How about the colleges? Do you understand that we are on the brink of having massive amounts of sports programs being canceled across the country. You know, Stanford, I think, canceled 11 varsity scholarship sports 2 weeks ago. We're going to have so many smaller, FCS type schools start to cancel football, baseball, basketball, soccer, girls basketball, field hockey. All these scholarship sports are about to go away. They're going to be insolvent. Now, how many people only get to go to college because of these types of programs? Well, let's just take like 300 scholarships at your average, 250 to 300 scholarships at your average size school. We're not talking about Power 5 school, but your average size school, 250 to 300 athletic scholarships. Per school, 300 schools. That's 10,000 a year, 20,000 a year. 20,000 a year is craziness. All these opportunities that are going to go wasted for these students that don't have it. Our children need to be educated. You can't tell me that elementary age kids can learn virtual learning. That's crap. They can't. So you have untrained people training them. How about, in a lot of cases, you have uneducated people trying to educate their children. So the gap in this country gets wider. The educated, the rich, they can afford tutors for their children. They went to college themselves. They're better equipped to educate their children. The poor, the underserved, the uneducated, they can't afford it. I don't think I've ever been this mad on what Thad thinks. I'm so embarrassed by our country and our leaders politicizing this and not taking children back to school. Children are not at risk. Children are not dying from this at any kind of massive rate. Protect the vulnerable, keep them at home, and we need to get back to school. Period. End of discussion. Thanks for joining What Thad Thinks this week. Leave us a rating. Let us know. And if you need a rebrand, you need a new sports team name, call Better Beans. See ya. I'm out.